So, you don't want this bill to pass?
Well, I'm going to vote against the bill if I have a chance.
Why are you going to vote no?
I don't support civil unions. I support traditional families, and I certainly expect that that's where folks in my district are coming from.
Sure. You've said a lot about how the timeline is just, the Democrats are just trying to ram this through at the last minute.
No, I think that it is. I think that the Senate Democrats are playing politics with this bill. There is absolutely no reason for them to sit on it for 110 days. The second bill that the House introduced cleared the House on February 2nd. And there was no reason for them to hold Senate Bill 2 this long unless they intended to play politics with it. And frankly, the supporters of Senate Bill 2 should be the ones who are most angry about the Senate Democrats playing politics with their lives.
Well, David said that Ferrandino told me that he held the bill because he was looking for a Republican co-sponsor. And they waited and they waited, and none of your colleagues took his invitation up. How do you feel about that?
People have their opinions on this bill, and folks who support it are pretty well known, and the folks who oppose it are pretty well known. And so I can't imagine that it would take him 110 days to figure out where people are on this issue.
Well, they wanted to wait
I
till
think
the primary
people are
ballot was over.
pretty crystal clear on where they stand.
So,
well, that's playing politics with it, though, isn't it? Isn't it?
They waited
Isn't
for
it?
It's politics.
Okay.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. But isn't this what this is all about, politics?
No, it ought to be about policy, and playing politics with people's lives, especially in this way, doesn't help.
So you guys got the fire bill through in 3 days.
Yep.
Why can't this bill get done in 3 days?
Well, there was broad support for the fire bill.
There's a lot of support for this bill, too.
Broad bipartisan support for the fire bill. And a bill like this, both the proponents and opponents of a bill like this, must be respected. And I certainly understand that people can make excuses for why things happen or don't happen, but what we shouldn't do is take an issue of this significance and expect that it's going to be rushed through in a matter of days.
But is it really being rushed?
Well, when the Senate Democrats sit on the bill for 110 days, they're really forcing that piece through, and that's not fortunate.
If this had happened 2 weeks ago, would that have been rushing? I mean, what's the definition of rushing? Where do you draw that line?
Well, when you talk about a bill that's introduced on the first day of session, and you have 120 days to work that bill through, and you wait until day 110 to pass it out of the first house, I think that's probably, I think there is other motivation for having waited that long.
Speaking of respect, there have been at least 2 Republicans who have voted for this bill already through committee. One Colorado told me today that they believe that you and Majority Leader Stevens would be disrespecting their votes if you don't bring this bill up on the floor. How do you respond to that?
There are any number of ways that bills are addressed in the waning days of session. Senate Democrats killed bills with broad bipartisan support last year on the calendar. That article wasn't written. Job creation bills, tax bills, bipartisan bills died on the calendar. That story was never written. I certainly understand why the attention is focused on this bill. I appreciate why the attention is focused on this bill, but that means it's even more important that we both respect the proponents of this bill and respect the opponents of this bill. And so offering that level of respect to both sides of this debate is one of the important things at this point.
How have the opponents not been respected? I mean, it's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hearings already. They've had ample time to voice their opinion. How is that not respecting them?
Well, forcing this issue into the waning days of session is one of the ways in which the Democrats are playing politics with this.
But how are the opponents not being respected?
And that's the unfortunate part, is the Democrats are playing politics with people who they say they're trying to respect and advance. And on that level, the Democrats should really be ashamed.
But the opponents have had 5 hearings to voice their concerns. How is that not giving
Well, the
them
Senate
enough?
Democrats sat on it for 110 days. I mean, there's a reason for that, and there's a strategy behind it.
Sure.
And to play politics with people's lives like that is unfortunate. Our agenda coming into this session was focused on job creation and economic opportunity, even in the waning days of this session. Our agenda is job creation and economic recovery, and so those are the things that we're going to be talking about. Those are the things that we're going to be focused on, even as some other issues may be gaining headlines.
So there's a group of Republicans, Coloradans for Freedom, who have come out in support of this bill. Have they been lobbying you? Have they been reaching out to you?
They have.
And what do you say to them when they say, we want you to support this bill, we believe it's right politically, we believe it's right socially and morally, so forth and so on?
Well, I appreciate their opinion. I appreciate the fact that they're taking the time to talk to me about this issue. I simply have a difference of opinion with them, and I'll cast my vote accordingly if that's the case.
Jack Finlaw said, he brought up the famous quote that the arc of history always bends towards justice. Do you think you're on the right side of history by voting no on this bill, if you vote on no on this bill, or, how do you feel about that?
Nobody ever knows until history is written. I'm very comfortable with my position and very comfortable that I'm representing my district.
If this bill passes appropriations either later today or tomorrow, whenever that happens, and it makes its way to the floor, will you or Representative Amy Stevens do anything to stop the bill from being heard?
That's Amy's call, and we'll see what happens. There are a number of other things that we know we need to get done on the economic opportunity side, and that's where our focus is going to be.
What's the last question? What's the one thing you want gays and lesbians of Colorado to know about you and this bill and this session?
That we did our best to put Coloradans back to work, that we fought to lower unemployment, and that we did our part to advance economic opportunity for every Coloradan. That's what I want them to know.
Thank you.